Steven!
Jesus.
When you... What?
Your mic's so loud.
Is it really? Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on.
I was like, what the hell was that?
A little better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
God.
Steven!
Yeah.
When you saw this Zion Williamson story
Uh-huh.
and you looked at all the details, did you think, Mariah Mills. Now, where do I know that name from?
No. I didn't have to
Liar.
think. I didn't have to think. I knew right away.
That was my reaction. I was like, how do I know that? Oh, yeah. Now I know her.
Yeah. You know, I've
on that one for
always,
I was like, that literally was happening. I was reading the story and I was like, who is that again? Oh shit. Oh my God.
yeah, that was from, the prior to the 2020 days. But yeah, I've always wondered, what it would be like just seeing someone in public like that, like a porn star in public that you accidentally recognize and you don't know whether to say hi.
I mean,
like
what porn star.
She's a porn star. Yeah.
I mean, you know. We may have to play that video today.
Extremities. Oh.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Just Your Opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. Yeah, God. We didn't talk about that, but that Zion Williamson story. Oof.
Did you see Bogut's reaction to it?
No.
Bogut kind of had the same
I'll be
reaction.
honest.
What?
I love Andrew Bogut coming on with Tom Tolbert. I don't follow him on Twitter. Not a fan.
Oh, okay. Well, he basically said this happens in the NBA all the time. This type of thing happens all the time. There's nothing new. There's nothing new with younger players and what they do. I know players that have deals under the table for these women, for these side chicks.
They're doing the hanky-panky with, spit in the face.
They called themselves a couple of magpies and they took them down under. You ever heard of a magpie before?
No. I've heard of a moon pie.
Magpies are birds in Australia that literally fly down and attack you. They have signs along beaches over there. I haven't been since I was like 5 years old, but my cousin lives over there. And my cousin's wife is from there originally. Like, they have signs that say, watch out for the magpies.
So they just attack people?
They just attack people.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, ducks, swans in general are kind of vicious creatures. I walk around Lake Merritt all the time, and there's duck shit everywhere, or swan shit, or goose shit, whatever you want to call it. And these fucking things, when you walk by, will just like, oh, Jesus.
Oh, it's a total alpha move, isn't it? It's like, hey, we're going to crap on your territory. By the way, we could break your arm if we want to.
And every time I'm prepared, I'm just like, all right, this is the day where I have to throw some bows at some geese. I just want to be on the local news. Out in Oakland today, a crazy man just beat up a bunch of geese around Lake Merritt.
That sounds like every Tuesday.
Yeah.
This sounds like a regular old Tuesday around Lake Merritt.
Kind of a weird time this year for sports. We have no basketball. Obviously no football, even though football tries to insert itself as much as possible in the news with stories that Steven hates. No hockey, but we got a shit ton of baseball. Before we get into everything, what did you think last night of the Dodgers and Giants and that whole snafu of a play that happened in the 9th inning? Or no, the 11th inning. What inning was it? It was in extras.
It was the 11th. I mean, what do I think about it? That's one of the wildest plays that I've seen. Not the
words of John Miller. It was disgraceful.
I don't think I've ever heard Dave Fleming even teeter on the line of swearing, but like he basically said, "Oh, hell broke loose" on the call.
Yeah,
but it's not the craziest play I've ever seen because he said that is. But I'm never gonna. Nothing to me is ever gonna top when Javi Baez basically got in a pickle going to first. I don't think anything's ever going to top that between the Pirates and the Cubs. That was like a couple of years ago. Nothing's going to top that for me. Nothing's going to top that as one of the wildest plays to me. But that one last night, that's about as little league as it gets. And luckily the Giants were on the right side of it because it started with Casey Schmidt of all people making an error.
They lucked out. Who was the last name Bush? Who was the Dodger that was stupidly running for home that fucked the whole thing up?
Wasn't it Betts? I thought it was Mookie.
Mookie was on second. Whoever was on third fucked the whole thing up. I think his last name was Bush.
Yeah,
check it out.
Yeah. No, it not just an awful play, but you know what? The Giants came out on top, so it doesn't even matter.
Let's see here, Michael Bush. Hey, former running back for the Raiders.
He tweeted at me once. I tweeted at him about a Food Network show. It turned out we were watching Chopped at the same time. So I asked him what he would do with the fish.
You and Michael Bush?
Yeah, he was tweeting about Chopped. I was watching Chopped at the same time, and I asked him what he would do with the salmon, and then he replied, "Sweet chili lemon glaze." I'm like, hell yeah, Michael, my man.
And then you followed up with, Michael, did you ever think you really played your hand poorly with the Raiders in free agency?
No, I didn't go too deep into it. It was strictly Chopped convo with Bush.
Makes sense. No, I always remember Michael Bush. He had a long touchdown run against the Buccaneers. I was at the game, and there was a huge fight behind me, and my little brother always brings it up all the time where everybody was brawling, and I just goes, "Everybody shut up! Michael Bush is running for a touchdown!" And he wanted to be the alpha in the backfield with Darren McFadden, and then he played his hand and then became a backup with the Bears and didn't pan out. Anyway, that's your Michael Bush content for today.
The old Bush push.
Yes.
But yeah, man, that play was nuts. That play was insane. But can I be totally 100% honest with you? I didn't catch it live.
I always ask you to be 100.
I didn't catch it live.
That's fine. Hey.
Yep.
All good.
Yep.
It's a Friday night. I mean, you got shit to do.
Just busy on Friday. Hung out with a couple of Jesse's friends who aren't really big into sports, so I was just keeping along on my phone.
Hanging out with Jesse's friends. Is that has to be in the playlist for the wedding, right?
Jesse's girl?
Yeah. I mean, take the context out of it. It's just a good song. And your wife's name is Jesse.
Yeah. Yeah, that could work.
Sung by...
Oh, God. Rick Springfield.
It's always not Bruce Springsteen, Rick Springfield.
It is Rick Springfield, yeah.
Kind of close. Real quick on these Giants. You like Luis Matos being called up and Patrick Bailey and Casey Schmidt and the youth movement being integrated in this team?
Well, of course.
Hard no from Jesse on Jesse's girl. Damn.
Yeah. Bye-bye. I think she's writing the guest list out right now.
I'm gonna slip the DJ $5.
$5, that's it?
I need some Springfield. Let's go.
So she hates that song. So yeah, that's not happening. Sorry.
Oh. Great moment at Boogie Nights. Jesse's got a girl and I want to make her mine. And she's looking at me with those eyes. All right, anyway.
Do I like the infusion of youth? Of course I do. Been waiting for this. I think Casey Schmidt's been a little aggressive. I'd like to see him more patient at the plate, but man, do these guys look the part defensively. Like that's half the battle right there. Like if you got Schmidt and Bailey, and they can hit, that's just an added luxury. So I love what they're doing. I love what they're doing right now. And you know, this season to me, I mean, right now they're looking good. 5 games over 500, 5-game win streak, whatever. But it only matters when it, reaches September and October is really when the record matters. But I do think that this was kind of what the Giants needed, was some sort of life brought into this team, because you can only go on for so long giving these players 1-year contracts with hopes that maybe they could pan out and maybe pick up the option or just sign elsewhere. You can only last on the 1-and-1 deals for so long. You got to bring up these homegrown guys and get this new generation going. And I personally think they move them up slowly, and they like to promote by really, they're very strict on it. Everyone knows that. They're being really strict with Kyle Harrison right now. It's like I saw yesterday. Ooh, he went 5 innings in a game in AAA. Great. But like, I think it's about, especially with Luis Matos too. Like Schmidt and Bailey wasn't really expecting it because that happened out of necessity, but Matos was truly the one who was just making everyone in AAA look like little leaguers that he was playing. He looked like the guy in Benchwarmers who has the birth certificate that says I'm 12. That's what he was looking like in AAA. Yeah,
I was reminded of that clip the other day. I was like, that's such a funny moment in that movie.
Oh,
Not a great movie, but that's a great line with Tim
oh, it's an
Meadows and everything.
awful. It's an awful movie. For some reason, I put it on the other night. I think it was like a few weekends ago. Terrible movie.
What
It is
was it on
so bad.
TBS during the night?
No, it was on like Netflix
Damn.
or something. Yeah, it's so bad. But no, I'm happy for Matos though because I do have a buddy that works for the Giants farm system. Bloop. Uh, and he got to know Matos pretty well, even though he doesn't speak English. But he got to know him a little bit
What the
in a
hell is that
weird way.
bloop thing?
It's dropping the name, dropping the knowledge.
Is
But
that from a show?
yeah, it's something that I actually started. I'm the one that created it, and everyone took it since and ran with it. Actually, a lot of the drops that they use on that station still, your boy.
I figured.
Yeah. Bloop. But yeah, that's but no, he's always talked about how like Matos is like just a great guy overall. Just great dude. So really happy for him.
Wait, which show is it? Because Ernie and the two Ernies are all about it.
Yeah, it was it started on Jolo and Dibs, and then it carried over into all the other
I
shows.
see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So everybody
Yeah.
does that now on 95.7?
It's a little water drop every time you drop a name. Bloop.
Got it.
I don't think anyone really gets it unless you're like a P1 like these guys are.
Well, of course, they would steal it from you because you're always creative.
Yeah. Time to time.
I still remember that unused David Fizdale song you made. Take that for data. Explain it to me. Explain it to me. Explain it to me.
Oh God. Yeah, I forgot about it. Explain it to me. What time?
So has the sting of the offseason kind of gone away a little bit with the infusion of youth for you?
I don't think the sting of Judge will go away. The sting with Correa went away pretty quickly.
Now, why is that? Hold on. Because to me, Judge was never really close. He was using them as leverage. The Correa was signed, sealed, delivered until they said we're not in this.
Totally. But the Correa one, it feels like they more so dodged a bullet there. But with Judge, he was still in San Francisco. They met with him. So it sucks that he was using them for leverage. I understand that they weren't close, but that one's always going to sting. Like the fact that they even had a 2% chance of even getting this guy. Like, this dude's the best, like one of the best players in baseball outside of Shohei Ohtani. So
but now he's hurt.
That sting is not going to go. He is, and this is the second time that he is. But yeah, the Carlos Correa one, not so much because of what they got going on in the infield right now. I'm good with Schmidt, JD Davis. Hopefully he's getting back healthy. Tyro Estrada, those guys are playing, and Lamont Wade Jr. Those guys are all doing just fine. So Correa would have been great, but I'm not really missing him too much, so much as Arson Judge. Thank you, Ernie.
So what would it take for you to forgive Farhan this season? As far as because everyone still kind of holds
him.
Well, I mean, like, do you think Giants fans still hold it against him for what happened this offseason? And now they're kind of like, I still see a lot of people like, yes, the young guys are being called up. At the same time, it's like, all right, well, let's see it actually, translate into wins. Like the Diamondbacks are playing well. The Dodgers still are second in the NL West. Padres are still a scary team, in my opinion. I don't trust the Diamondbacks, to be completely honest. I really don't know who my money is on to win the NL West. I still probably would say the Dodgers, maybe the Padres, just based on the talent they have. But what would it take for, you think, Giants fans to kind of let bygones be bygones and actually trust in Farhan going forward?
Well, it's really these rookie draft picks that he's had. Taking Harrison all the way from high school, really, and just growing him in the farm there. This dude, Matos, who we just talked about, Casey Schmidt, Patrick Bailey, like there's a reason that they drafted Bailey. I remember everyone was kind of confused. It's like, what? You have Joey Bart. Why are you drafting a catcher with the 17th pick? It doesn't make any sense. But he clearly saw something without Bart, and so did the coaching staff, and probably didn't trust him. I think I don't think he's ever going to be in the good graces, to be honest, though, of Giants fans. I just don't. Unless they bring a World Series. Like, I just don't.
Because he's not Sabian and Kapler's not Bochy?
Because if they don't win, it's always going to be, oh, he's this analytical kind of nerdy GM who doesn't play baseball. Like they're not gonna buy into whatever he's selling, I don't think, for a very long time, unless they win a championship. So especially with the way that he was kind of advertised going into San Francisco, because no one really knows like what these guys are like in front offices. It's like, oh, he comes from, at least fans don't. It's like, oh, he comes from the Dodgers. Okay, well, the Dodgers have a winning system. I mean, he must have done something right over there. And then, like, I think that when he came over to San Francisco, a lot of the experts are saying, oh, this is a home run hire. This is the guy. Like, this is the next up and coming GM, president, whatever it is. And the fact that they haven't seen it yet, I just don't think anyone's ever really going to forget, unless he gets like a big name, unless he gets a huge name, because that's what fans like. So I don't think fans are ever going to forgive him, however you phrase that question.
Well, I know there were some reports, or I guess a tweet from Jim Bowden, that Farhan was going to be aggressive at the deadline. And then we asked him about it the next week, and he was like, yeah, I mean, if there is, an opportunity to get a big name, then we're going to go after it. But as far as really, trying to upgrade by the trade deadline, I think we like who we have currently. So
aggressive at the deadline to me is like trading Darren Ruff for JD Davis. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. I don't think they're going to be aggressive. They say this every year. Every single year this happens. We see the same old thing. Anyone who's witnessed this before should not like even be shocked at all by the deadline if they just make some below value moves.
Yeah. So everyone, don't get your hopes up. The Sunday crew that do the post game show floating out that the Giants should go get Shohei Ohtani. That's not going to happen, especially at the deadline. I don't even think the Dodgers are getting Shohei Ohtani at the deadline. I don't think anybody's getting Shohei Ohtani at the deadline.
Well, I mean, let me see here. I still stand by that. Last year they should have traded him. Where are the Angels at right now?
I think they're above 500.
They're 40-32, so they're rolling right now. If they feel like they got a playoff shot, then yeah, they're gonna take him. But if they're below 500 by the deadline, which is probably not going to happen because it's like a month and a half till then. But yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not unless they're just tanking.
And real quick, with the emergence of Patrick Bailey and how he had a great throw, he had a throw last night that he got a base runner stealing, right?
He does it every night. There's always like kind of one wow play that he makes.
And pitchers are really trusting in him. Do you think that it's only a matter of time before Joey Bart's not going to be on this team?
Of course, he's barely on this team right now. He's back in AAA. That's it. And I don't think that Bailey's more just of a natural. He has this natural confidence at catcher that Bart didn't really have. Bart had a really strong arm. I'll give him that. But as far as like pitch framing, just being quick, getting up and getting down and throwing guys out. I think this dude. I think he has a chance to be their catcher for years to come. I'm not saying he's the next Buster Posey, but he's damn good.
Yeah. And then then Joey Bart eventually will not be on the Giants. And, this leads to the three guys that were high draft picks in the Bay Area that haven't panned out. So James Wiseman traded to the Pistons. Joey Bart, only a matter of time before he's not a San Francisco Giant anymore. And then we will see about Trey Lance this upcoming season. But
yeah.
We'll see all about that.
You know what? I'll say this about the Giants, too, with Ohtani, that whole thing.
Sing it, sister.
This draft pick that they got, I saw him down in San Jose, Reggie Crawford.
Yeah.
Dude's an animal. Like we saw him, Jesse, her dad and I went to the game. We watched his first at bat, the one that Steph was at, funnily enough. Told you about that, right?
Yeah,
Steph down there, left field. Yeah, but Reggie Crawford, this dude he looks like a man amongst boys when he's in the plate. He's only like 19 years old. This dude's massive. So once he grows a little bit, damn good pitcher. I hope they, like, as far as getting someone quickly through the ranks. I mean, I totally forgot about Luciano. Like, Luciano's just like totally got out of the he's out of the picture. At this point, I'm still waiting for him. But man, if they get Reggie Crawford and this dude can actually hit, I'm not saying they have the next Shohei Ohtani, but they have a version of that, of a guy who could do both. Because no one's going to be Shohei Ohtani. That dude's like, anyone who says they have the next Ohtani, I'm not going to believe that. I'm not going to believe that anyone is going to be hitting 450 to left field, to the opposite field with power. Ohtani's unbelievable.
Yeah. All right. Baseball is.
What were you looking at? What were you looking at? You looked confused at something.
His voices. Anyway, I'll explain later.
Voices. Are you all right?
I got voices.
Are you actually in? Are you in your own apartment? Because that thing doesn't have any decorations on it at all. It's just completely white walls. Are you sure you're just in your own apartment?
What do you want on it?
I don't know. Maybe like a
you want to come over and interior decorate here?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if you're hearing voices, maybe put 2 treadmills in there. Huh?
I do have one treadmill. One treadmill that I cannot use to the side over here next to my bed.
Damn.
Because it makes too much damn noise. No, someone was walking down the hallway saying hello, hello. I didn't know who the hell was on our. The walls are paper thin here.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
You know what? Before we move on, because I know you want to move on, we are going to really, like, this is the first free day that we've had in a while. So we are really going to try and get things situated. Hopefully, I'm going to be sitting at a table with at least a version of a sports wall after this podcast.
Like you used to have at the old place?
Yes, that's the goal here. We're going to set everything up. My shoulder's feeling a lot better. I can actually put shelves up and everything, put photos up. So yeah, we're gonna get going on that today once we're done with the pod.
Nice. Well, I look forward to you having a nice decorative background, better than mine, I guess.
Oh, thanks, Derek.
All right, Mike Dunleavy Jr.
Mm-hmm.
We were expecting this. He has been named Warriors general manager. This was official yesterday, and Mike Dunleavy is, I don't know if he's going to be thrown into the fire immediately because we got the NBA draft next week. Bob Myers is technically, I guess, still on the job until June 30th, the day of NBA free agency, which would be interesting. But yeah, Mike Dunleavy, I'm not surprised with this whatsoever. I think I texted you or said to you on this podcast that when I saw Mike Dunleavy doing an interview with Bonte Hill on Warriors pregame, I was like, this is it. They're grooming him. He's doing a lot more media. He's going to be the next guy.
Yeah.
And as he should be. He's been in the organization for a long time. We'll talk about his playing days, but just as far as being in the front office, he was a scout with the Warriors back in 2018. Then he got promoted quickly to being assistant general manager in 2019. Then before their championship season of 2021-2022, he was promoted to vice president of basketball operations. So it's only right that he moves in and does this job for Bob Myers. And yeah, I think it's a good hire. I think, I'm glad they went with this and not Kirk Lakeup because, unfortunately, I'm not saying anything bad about Kirk Lakeup and what he's accomplished and why he's there. But it's bad optics anytime, and believe me, I know that's hypocritical coming from me, but it's bad optics when the owner of the team is your father and he promotes you as general manager. It can be done. Jerry Jones has Stephen Jones as the general manager with the Cowboys. But maybe we'll take some time and maybe we'll take more, unfortunately, respect from everyone in the NBA to then say, well, Kirk Lakeup's more than just the son of Joe Lakeup. So
right.
I do like the hire with Mike Dunleavy. He's definitely earned this position.
Oh, agreed. Everyone should have known it was coming, and the Warriors knew it was coming. I think they just were probably in contract negotiations, like, over the past, really since Myers announced that he was going to go. I think that I'm not going to say it's like a home run hire, but I think this was just the evolution of where they were headed. And it's not just, of course, him doing interviews with Bonte, him doing interviews on 95.7. But Anthony Slater wrote that he was, representing the Warriors at GM summits, just different areas where Bob Myers was the face for the team in certain meetings and all that sort of stuff. So Dunleavy was kind of sitting in his place. It's almost felt Like this was just the natural evolution of where they were supposed to go.
Yeah, definitely. And anyone that says, "Oh, well, Mike Dunleavy, his playing days were so bad that this is only going to mean terrible things for him as a general manager," that makes no sense whatsoever. So, just going back to it, Mike Dunleavy was drafted third overall back in 2002 by Chris Mullin, and that proves my point right there. And to go on with Mike Dunleavy's career, didn't really play well with the Warriors, was a backup role player, lost his job, then got traded to the Pacers, and just became a journeyman after that. Wasn't a great player. But Chris Mullin was a great player. He'll be the first to tell you he wasn't a great general manager. We saw yesterday Michael Jordan sell his stock in the Hornets. I always want to say Bobcats because they were the Bobcats at one point. But he was he's arguably the greatest player of all time. But he was a terrible executive with the Wizards, and he was a pretty bad owner with the Bobcats. Just because you were a great player or you're a bad player doesn't necessarily mean anything when it comes to being an executive in a new role, whatever it's going to be. Magic Johnson, not a great executive. Take case in point this year, the Nuggets. Can you name their general manager, Steven?
The Nuggets GM? No.
Calvin Booth. Do you remember anything about him as a player?
No.
Exactly, because he wasn't a good one. And it doesn't matter. I think actually bad players make pretty good GMs because they know what to look for. They know I made these mistakes as a high draft pick, and I'm not going to make the same mistakes that executives made with me. I'm going to look for something different. You know, that's the whole story of Moneyball. Billy Beane was the number 1 overall pick for the New York Mets, and he didn't pan out. And he always said, "I'm not going to make the same mistakes that the A's, or not the A's, but the Mets made with me." Jason Jones. I think his name is Jason Jones.
James
Jones, the GM of the Suns.
Yeah.
People just know him as LeBron's guy. He didn't really contribute much as a player. And he's an okay general manager. I mean, I don't really know what he does. He made the trade for Kevin Durant, and it sounds like he's going to make a trade for Bradley Beal pretty soon here. We'll talk about that later. But I don't think that anyone, like, I know Warriors fans have a bad taste in their mouth with Mike Dunleavy as a bust, but that should not have any bearing for him as a general manager.
No, but fans are going to have their opinion, man. Who cares what they think? Like, you know, the callers half the time on 95.7, half the time they'd be wrong. Like, or more than half. It's just it's trying to find a thing to complain about. You know, I mean, it's if you're going to really judge that, but just look at the background of it. Like, this dude has been working with Bob since 2019. Since 2019, he's been in those rooms. He understands how those calls go. And the relationships with these players, do I think that this is going to, hurt the chances of maybe, is this going to hurt the chances of Draymond coming back? Maybe Clay getting another contract? I don't know. But I will say this also, and we talk about this, Derek, whenever fans have some sort of thing to something to blame, because they always want to blame Joe Lacob or, you know, someone for this sort of hire, you know, oh, I shouldn't have hired this guy, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to operate under the assumption, and I could be wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say this is an absolute fact, but it's collaborative. Everything they do is collaborative. They're not just going to hire a GM without, you know, at least speaking to Steph, Clay, because as far as we know, Draymond still on this team right now. He's not on another team. I'm sure they talked with him about this sort of thing. And and this is a good question. Can Dunleavy handle Draymond? Well, you know what? Draymond's not a child. Get him to grow up. All right. You don't need a GM to.
But it is part of the job, though, unfortunately.
Well, it is, but get him to grow up, because you don't have your GM anymore to calm you down. Someone else needs to step up in that department. If it's not going to be Myers, then someone else needs to do it.
But in reality, how long have we been saying that? Since 2016, where he was kicked out of the NBA Finals, that we said Draymond needs to grow up. Yeah. It hasn't happened. And they don't seem to care, really, because all indications are, I know that Mark Spears said this yesterday, but it's not a report to me, honestly. Like, we've heard this for a long time. Draymond's going to opt out. And chances are the Warriors going to offer him a new contract. And then Mike Dunleavy's got to figure that out. We like. Have you ever seen a GM have to do a shit ton of things before or right when he gets the job? Like this is I think unprecedented. Where all right, you're brand new and you're going to have a laundry list of things that you have to do in order for this franchise to go back to what it used to be. They got to sign Draymond. They got to figure out what they want to do with Klay Thompson. They got to figure out what they want to do with Jonathan Kuminga and Jordan Poole. It's a lot of huge decisions to make right away for this guy.
Yeah, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what every GM's role was as soon as they, got into the spot. I mean, as far as the Warriors, yeah, this is the most that any GM has had to do. But it's all collaborative up there. I think he's the prominent voice. He's the guy. He's what we're all going to be looking at. But there are other people within the organization who are helping out too. So it's going to be up to them as well. But no, it is unprecedented as far as what he's going to have to face. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you say it's collaborative, but also, I think that they inquire with the other players about, what's good for the team going forward. But as far as cents and dollars, like that's all got to come down to what Lakeup wants to do. And that's also, something that Mike Dunleavy's got to be prepared for. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and you're fast asleep and you get a text message or a phone call from Joe Lakeup and you got to answer the call. That's part of the job now, which Bob Myers seemed not thrilled about doing anymore and happy to be out of there and not wanting to pick up the phone for Joe Lakeup at a moment's notice. That's part of the gig now, which is going to be a lot, but I think he can handle it. The question is, the real collaborative effort is what Bob Myers and Steve Kerr had. And I don't know what Steve Kerr's relationship is with Mike Dunleavy. I'm assuming it's good, but you have to wonder if that's going to entice him enough to come back with his contract. This being the final year of his contract.
I personally think he will sort that out. I do think he's going to be the coach until Steph retires. I think that's when it's going to be the end for Kerr. I don't think the GM is going to have anything to do with it. I think Dunleavy's going to respect Kerr's decisions. I think he's going to respect his input. I don't think Dunleavy's just going to run away with this and start making the decisions on the fly. So I think Kerr could stick around, but for not much longer. I think until Steph retires, that's when Kerr's done.
I kind of agree with that, and that's all I've heard from people that know Steve. So, yeah, I agree that Steve's going to be there. It's going to be different without Bob around, but I think he'll be fine with Mike Dunleavy. So what do you think is the top priority? Is it Draymond? Is it figuring out what to do with the young guys or Klay? What do you think is the biggest thing that Mike Dunleavy has to do post-draft?
Oh, well, it depends. Well, the first thing he has to do is the draft. I think he has to take care of the draft before he takes care of anything else. I think you have to make a decision there. Like, do you want to trade out of that 19 spot? Are you receiving calls from other teams that maybe you want to trade up? I don't know. Like, are you potentially wanting to trade up and you're willing to dangle? I know that report came out with Jonathan Kuminga, the mock draft thing.
Yeah,
but that's those reports that people just run too wild with. Go back and read it. It's just a mock draft with explanations after everything. And it's just like, well, they could draft a young, high value player to go higher. Maybe a player like Jonathan Kuminga. Then everyone's like, oh my God, the Warriors are trading Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah. Can I just say that real quick? Like, I saw the same thing you saw, Steven, and I didn't run with it on Tolbert and Copes because to me, that's not a report. That is a guy's mock draft. So to me, that's no validity there. And also, like yesterday, I saw everybody reacting to Mark Spears says that Draymond Green's going to opt out of his contract. Number one, I love Mark Spears. He comes on every week with us. Mark did this last year with Kevin Durant, saying like the Warriors could be interested in Kevin Durant. And everybody was like, "Oh my God, is Mark Spears saying that the Warriors are going to try to get Kevin Durant?" He was like, "Whoa, everybody, slow your roll." I was talking more, in general and speculative stuff. Mark Spears is saying what we all know. This isn't a concrete thing. He just says, I think Draymond's going to opt out of his contract. If you ask everybody involved with the Warriors, they'll tell you the same thing. Yes, we all think he's going to opt out of his contract. So once it becomes official, then it'll be news. But I think we react to reports differently now, where it's stupid. It's more speculative or like people writing articles than actual concrete evidence. Regardless, yes, Stephen, I'm with you. I wonder if Mike Dunleavy's actually going to run the draft, though, with Bob still around.
I think he would. Bob seemed pretty. He seemed pretty adamant. Like, yeah, I'm going to take my time off. I'm not going to worry about the draft.
As he
I don't
should.
care. Yeah, yeah. I don't care that my contract's up. Like they've been talking. They know what they're going to do. Actually, no, they don't because they're in the 19th pick, and that's a pretty. That's really anyone can drop to you. I don't know. But that's the number one thing. The next up is Draymond, though. Like, and this is no surprise. Like anyone who's paid attention to anything regarding Draymond at the beginning of the year, it was, yeah, he's likely going to opt out and he wants a max contract. Like that's what people were saying. And you know what? He has a lot of value with this team, and I'm seeing a lot of the talking heads right now saying the Warriors ain't going to win without Draymond. I see JJ Redick saying something like that, and I believe him. I truly believe him. I'm not even confident we'll see the Warriors win again, even with Draymond, but he definitely gives them way more of a chance than a lot of other guys.
By the way, we didn't mention this on the podcast. I actually was wrong. I listened to that Draymond Green podcast with Steve Kerr, but I really didn't listen to it intently because they did bring up Bob Myers.
Yeah.
And the part that everybody ran with was Steve talking about the Heat's role players and thinking that was some shot at, Jonathan Kuminga and Jordan Poole. The quote that everybody should have been running with is Draymond Green and Bob and Steve Kerr talking about Bob Myers and how integral he's been to the organization and everything, but somehow that got lost in the weeds.
It's because Warriors World didn't post it. That's why.
Exactly.
When they post something, that thing runs wild, man. So, it happens.
Well, it's just another example of how we don't focus on the right things when it comes to social media, and it's dumb reports that have no bearing.
Yeah. No, you don't know what it, like. I'm still gonna. I still think that he wasn't taking. He might have been thinking that, but again, it wasn't anything we hadn't heard before. He would take shots directly at them, even after games. Like,
no, it was
no surprise.
It really was nothing. People were looking into something that wasn't really there. It was just Steve talking the way he normally talks, as you said.
It is funny. It is funny though, listening to them talk, Myers, and just it's funny that Draymond seems to like it. It feels like he lacks self-awareness in the moment when he's going crazy, but when you hear him talk to Myers or when you hear him talk to Kerr, he's like, so Bob Myers is leaving, and we know that you guys have had to deal with a lot of shit with me, and I mean a lot of shit. Like it seems it's always after the fact. Hindsight's 2020, I guess, but it's always funny when he brings that up.
No, but that's like kind of a big boy moment. But then again, that also shows me that things aren't really going to change because Steve's laughing about it, right? And Draymond's just going to lose himself in the moment when he's angry.
There you go, Eminem.
Yeah. Well, he's from Detroit. Point. So I think it's like like you just kind of like it's an out of body experience for Draymond, where once he's calmed down, he's like, "What the hell did I just do?"
Right.
And we'll see if Mike Dunleavy is willing to participate in the craziness of that. I think Joe Lacob is. I think Steve Kerr is at times when it benefits the team, but he doesn't like all of the antics that go along with it. We'll see. I'm not really worried about Draymond Green and Mike Dunleavy. I'm more so worried about Mike Dunleavy having to go to Klay Thompson and say, listen, Klay, I know I'm new to the job, and you've been doing this for a long time. We're going to give you a contract extension, but it's going to be for less money. You got to prove to us that you are the same player that you used to be. And that's where things could get dicey, where guys are like, this is bullshit. Bob wouldn't do this to me. And it's going to be interesting, if Bob is in the background of the draft and Mike Dunleavy's making the picks and Bob's just like from a distance being like, yeah, you got this. I wouldn't do that, but yay, it's all you, which Bob wouldn't do. But I think it's going to be interesting. I'm sure all these players have relationships with Mike Dunleavy, but it's going to be interesting with how close they all were with Bob Myers to then when tough decisions have to be made, are they going to be like, all right, Mike, we trust you, or who's this new guy thinking that he's tough making all these hard decisions with us? Like, I think Mike will probably lean on Steve and being like, what do we do with Kuminga? Can you get the best out of him right now, or is it just a lost cause at this point?
Yeah, that's probably these other guys. They know what they got. Kuminga is going to be a big one for sure. I think it's going to be a mistake to trade him, to be honest, even though I do think that I think it was warranted to not give him, 25 minutes a game during the playoffs. I think it was more of like a detriment on the court, but I also think he can work at it. And I'm not going to go crazy after a few workout videos that I saw. I don't know if you saw those with him just putting up mid-range jumpers, and everyone's like, "Oh, Kaminga can shoot now." But
God, I'm
like
so tired of workout videos. Whether it's Trey Lance or anybody, like, show me in a goddamn game. I don't give a damn.
I love workout videos. Love them. They're the best.
Yeah, you and Javier Vega can watch them all. I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't know him at all, but I don't care about workout videos.
But the thing with Dunleavy, he was in the NBA for 17 years, and I don't know what teammates thought about him, but what made Myers special was that connection to players. But at least Dunleavy has the experience of playing in the NBA,
exactly,
and knowing what it's like just to navigate, tough seasons or trades, anything like that, when probably you're expecting more as a player. I think he'll know how to talk to these guys. I think he's had enough experience in that department to where he can actually be successful on that side of being a GM more than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. It's just, will he have the same charisma and charm that Bob Myers had with us in the media? I don't know. I have no idea. But as long as he does a good job with the basketball team, then it really doesn't matter. All this stuff about, he was a bust. Oh, what will the players think of him? As long as he does a good job and gets the talent and makes Joe Lacob happy, then everything will be fine.
Man, he was a part of those teams, those Pacers teams with like Danny Granger and Roy Hibbert.
The trade that sent him to Indiana pretty much set the stage for the We Believe team.
Yeah. Damn.
So in a way, Warriors fans should lay off Mike Dunleavy. It led to a good time.
So yeah, but they're never going to.
I know
because he's not a good player.
Well, it would be like if Darren McFadden, or Jamarcus Russell became GM of the Raiders in a way.
I'd go Robert Gallery.
Ooh, Robert Gallery. Yeah, you're right.
How about that?
I forgot about Robert Gallery. Yeah, Robert Gallery is a good comp.
Yeah, because an early round pick, actually had some years where he was a starter. Yeah.
God, what a man. Such bad picks. Yeah.
Terrible.
I totally forgot about Robert Gallery.
Looked like a pirate.
I mean, he fit the Raider mold. He just didn't play like a Raider.
No, not at all.
He did for that time. He did. John Morant. We got the suspension, 25 games. NBA PA is not happy about it. He has to meet certain standards for Adam Silver to be happy with his character and attitude and behavior before he gets, approved to go back into the NBA. I have no problem with it. 25 games seems appropriate enough. Yeah, I don't think that's. I mean, could it even been more games? Maybe, but I think 25 is appropriate. It's not the biggest suspension ever in the NBA. We all know that he needs to figure out his life and stop Instagramming videos of him holding guns. So yeah, I thought it was appropriate.
See, this might be insensitive to say, but the natural progression is always like, I hope he gets the help. I hope he gets the help he needs. All that sort of stuff. I feel terrible for him. So there's some of that going around. But I'm like, no, just tell him to stop being an idiot and don't post a gun live on social media. It's really not hard. As a matter of fact, it's a very easy thing to do. And it's like, he's got to get a different group of friends. No, he's just got to be more aware of his surroundings and not post a gun while on social media.
I will say this, Steven, though. If his friends are the ones that are encouraging him to do this stuff, like it's always that guy that's in the videos with him, then maybe you need to think about your life.
Yeah,
but yes, I really have no sympathy in the sense that, it's not some like cry for help. It's just him holding a gun in a video.
Yeah. It's just don't be an idiot. Like it seems pretty simple to me.
Now the irony is, you've heard about the story with the Patriots cornerback, Jack Jones?
I saw a headline, but I didn't really read into it.
So Jack Jones tweeted at John Morant when the initial video came out with him and the noisy cricket.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You don't need to do this, man. You got a bunch of money. Just stop this shit. There's no reason to have all these guns. If you need extra security, get extra security, but there's no reason to do this." Fast forward, yesterday, John Morant gets the new punishment, and Jack Jones gets arrested for having guns on an airport.
It's just, I don't know. It feels like it's an easy fix. Will 25 games help him learn his lesson? Maybe, whatever. It's going to hurt the Grizzlies' chances a little bit in the beginning of the season, that's for sure.
I don't know, because they actually play pretty well without him.
They did play pretty well without him last year, yeah.
And who's their backup point guard? Tyrus Jones?
Yeah, Tyus Jones.
Tyus Jones. I don't know what they're going to look like going forward. They may have a down year. I was thinking maybe Chris Paul to fill in for the time that John Morant is gone, but I don't know if that's a good fit. Or maybe they do need some veteran leadership to, kind of
maybe
crack the whip a little bit on the guys.
But there's no mistake about it. He's a damn good basketball player. And when he came back, it didn't seem to impede his ability. Whereas guys like Zion, apparently he's getting heavy legs. No wonder you're not playing, Zion. You're getting that. I'm looking at guys like,
well, now I know.
He's never done anything.
Now I know.
Now I know. He's never done anything wrong. But fame's certainly getting to his head. And I'm talking about LaMelo Ball. Like, this dude's out here rolling along in purple Lambos, and he's got like this supermodel girlfriend, and he's doing all these different things. He's living this lavish lifestyle, and you'd think that this dude is dominating the NBA, but no, the team sucks that he plays on. Like, of course, Ja has these bigger off the court issues, but it doesn't seem to impede his ability on the court at the very least. It's not like they're getting lackluster play from him. So I'm looking at other guys. I'm like, yo, you need to focus on basketball a little more than other things that you're focusing on right now, in my head. Like,
so who do you worry about more then, John Morant or Zion?
No, I don't worry about either of those guys. I guess I'd say Zion, because it's pretty clear that basketball's I'm not going to say he doesn't care about basketball. That's just not fair for me to say. But it's clear that he does have priorities elsewhere. He doesn't have that mentality like, say, I don't want to compare him to this early in the career, but he doesn't have that Kobe Bryant mentality where literally he doesn't do anything except go to the gym and then go home and then go to the gym. Like, that's all he does. That's all he did, at least, to start his career. All the great athletes do it. LeBron James, for all the crap that we give LeBron James, I mean, I know he probably had himself some fun when he was younger, but I guarantee you he was working his ass off. And I think these other guys are focused on a lot of different things. And John Morant seems to have this just natural ability, which he displays on the court. He seems to work at it. It's just he flashed a gun a couple of times. The worst thing to me, though, I will say, he does have to realize, like, it's not just he needs to stop flashing a gun. It's not that. He needs to realize he can influence a lot of these younger kids. Like, something that Adam Silver said, the thing that was disconcerting was that kids may look at him may look up to him and, may start copying what he's doing. So, like, yeah. I do understand that. I think that's something he needs to understand as well, but it doesn't seem to impede his ability on the court. That's, at the very least, what I'll say about John Morant, even though his decision-making has been terrible lately.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be a whole, like, the NBA needs to crack down on this whole gangster, persona and that mentality in the NBA. Like, it's just John Morant can't be flashing a firearm that could kill people casually in a video.
Yeah.
And that's just really what it is. Just the first time, it's just like your father saying, like, did you really comprehend what I told you? I guess not. So now it's a stricter punishment.
Right.
And hopefully he changes, because he's a great talent. And I think there's more promise in him than Zion, because I don't think the whole Mariah Mills thing is the reason why he hasn't been playing. He's just a porn star. But there is something mentally going on with Zion to the point where he's like, I'm not healthy enough to play, where we see these 360 dunks he's doing before, games, and you're like, what the hell's going on here? And all these old school guys, like, it's a different NBA now, but like when, Reggie Miller or, Jalen Rose are like, you can't go out there and give me 15 minutes. Like, this has been 3 years now where you're not playing. What's going on here? And is it him just being like, I don't want to be in New Orleans anymore? then you're a lost cause then at this point. Because I hate the whole mentality of I don't want to be here, so I'm just going to pout and I'm not going to play like the James Harden wearing the fat suit thing. Like, no, like you got to have a good attitude, and then eventually when you hit free agency, then you can leave. That's how things go.
Or he thinks he's invincible. Like, I do think there was something to her tweeting out that there's bottles and cans of Coke everywhere, Coca-Cola. Like, hey man,
Yeah, she did.
Soda's not good for you if you're a world class athlete.
Listen, I know that she may be a credible source in this whole thing, but how much stock are we putting into everything that she's tweeting out?
I'm putting the stock into the cans of Coke all over the floor more than anything else that she says.
Well, she's a very convincing actress, but I don't know if I'm believing every tweet that she puts out.
She's like the Meryl Streep of Pornhub. She got right into character.
Yeah, no, she's definitely the God. What's the movie where Meryl Streep has to pick between the two kids? One lives and one dies. Yes, that's
Sophie's choice, Mariah's choice.
Some award-winning performances as. I'm not even gonna go there. So yeah, Ja Morant gets 25 games. We'll see what the Grizzlies do if they do anything, because they're not going to sign back Dylan Brooks. What was the verbiage they used? Under any circumstance,
they're not bringing him back under any circumstances.
So they may have to think of what they could do for their team. I mean, they've been the number 2 seed in the Western Conference the last 2 seasons. We'll see if they slip now without both guys on that team and Ja Morant just missing 25 games. But Bradley Beal apparently is not going to be on the Wizards for much longer. According to Shams Charania today, it sounds like it's down to either the Miami Heat or the Phoenix Suns to acquire Bradley Beal, which would be interesting. And apparently the Miami Heat are talking about trading Tyler Hero as part of the trade package. So we've been hearing this for a long time. A lot of Warriors rumors with Bradley Beal. I don't think he makes sense right now. It's basically like having Andrew Wiggins on the team. I think do you really think Bradley Beal is like a good 3-point shooter? He's more like just like a good scorer, I would say.
I think he'd be an amazing fit.
With the Warriors?
Yeah, I think so.
In place of who? I guess Draymond.
Hate to say it. You're going to hate it.
Clay?
Yeah. Clay's what the Warriors lacked in these playoffs, other than, a big man who can, but they had Kevon Looney doing everything. But what the Warriors lacked was a player other than Steph who can just flat out go get you a bucket. Like, when the Warriors are down this year, more so than any other year, sometimes Steph could get them out of it. They just go to the pick and roll with Steph and, try to create shots that way. But Andrew Wiggins wasn't that guy towards the end of the season. Like he was in the last playoffs, where you get him the ball, he's just automatically going to post up. If he goes one-on-one with the defender, he's going to try and get around him and get up a shot. Like, Beal's a bucket, and I think he's fantastic. But Ernie makes a great point. Beal is hurt quite a bit, but also who knows how much he's really hurt, because he's also playing with the Wizards.
How good of a 3-point shooter is Beal, would you say?
From what I'm not going to act like I watched Wizards games night in, night out, but I've seen him make some pretty damn impressive threes.
He was 36% last season.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my thing, is that I see him more as like a Jimmy Butler type scorer, and if it's him on the Heat with Jimmy Butler, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But it sounds like they're going to go that route. I hear you, Steven. I'm not totally opposed to saying goodbye to Clay. I'm not. I want him to come back for one more season, but then we have to think about the long-term future after that.
Yeah.
I don't think Bradley Beal's an upgrade over Clay at this point. I don't really like that. That's the thing. Like, Beal would serve the same role as an Andrew Wiggins right now, and I'd rather have Andrew Wiggins on the team. If they're signing back Draymond, I'd rather have Draymond. I think Bradley Beal would be more important to another team. Like, I think it makes more sense for him to go to the Suns, to be honest. But then again,
that's going to turn into more your turn, my turn basketball. They're not going to move the ball.
That's the thing, is like I don't like that that style. I think Bradley Beal would be actually better like on the Knicks or some other team. But then again, that's how I feel about Julius Randle. Like there's players like that that are not great 3-point shooters, but just good scorers.
No, Beal's hard to evaluate, man, because he's not going to be the number one guy on a
Yeah.
team. You need you need to bring him to a team that already has a superstar. John Wall was that guy, but John Wall couldn't stay healthy. Beal was a great number two, but Beal can't be the number one. But he also plays kind of like a number one type of player where it's like the offense runs through him, runs through him. But also, and Ernie's making another good point. The contract. I don't know how that's going to work. Maybe the Warriors can fit that in somehow with a Clay trade. But good Lord, man, this dude's my age and he's about to make $50 million in a year. Unbelievable.
Well, that's the thing is every year we hear that he's for sale. Like last year, I think it was the same thing at this time.
Yeah.
And then he just made a contract extension with the Wizards. So I don't know. But it sounds like he's gonna get dealt here. I like him, but I don't love him as a player, to be completely honest. So if he goes to the Heat, I mean, this is they just lost the NBA Finals earlier this week, and now they're going to make a trade potentially. I kind of see him like Jimmy Butler, and I don't really think that's going to help them. I think a Damian Lillard would actually make them a lot better. Which brings me to this segment, Steven, where we can kind of Chris Paul, and kind of predict where we see some of these players going. Because there's a lot of big names in the NFL and the NBA that are going to be on the move. Do you want to start with the NBA players, Steven? Because I know you hate this NFL talk.
Because it's been the same exact players with the NFL for the last 3 months. We haven't gotten any change at all.
Well, like 3 weeks.
It's been the same players, but yes, we could get to the NFL, but give me the NBA first.
Okay, Bradley Beal. It sounds like it's down to the Suns or the Heat. Which team do you think makes more sense?
I personally think that you know what? Just for my viewing pleasure, I'd love to see him go to the Suns. I think that'd be just fascinating. Because, even though they don't play like that, if you're looking for a Warriors style of basketball with Phoenix, you're not going to get it. But when these guys want to just take over and they're just going one-on-one with people, they're fun to watch. So just put them on the Suns for my viewing pleasure. How about that?
Here's what I would do. I know it's down to either the Heat or the Suns, but I don't like him on either of those teams, to be honest. I'd rather have him on the Bucks, where Giannis can play in the post and Beal could be that scorer when they need it. They also have Chris Middleton. They also have who's my guy from the Pelicans back in the day?
Jrue Holiday.
Jrue Holiday, who's more of a 3-point shooter. I think he fits more with the Bucks if I was going to pick a team. Who I really want to see on the Suns, and he's kind of going the DeAndre Hopkins route, where he's kind of like, I would like to go to a new team, but maybe I can stay on my current team. Damian Lillard, this is the most I've heard of this actually happening. Like for years and years and years, everyone always says Damian Lillard needs to go to a new team. He can't win in Portland. It's time for him to go somewhere else. And this is the first time where I've seen him entertain that idea. And he actually said he was open to going to Miami Heat. He said he actually be open to going to Brooklyn. I guess he wants no part of the Celtics and living in Boston. It would be a dream come true for him to go to the Warriors, but I don't think that's happening at this point, and I don't think he wants to be second fiddle to Steph because Dame says all the right things when it comes to Steph Curry, but I think if you asked him one-on-one and there was no cameras around, he'd be like, that guy stole my career. It should be me with the Warriors, and that was supposed to be my team. But things happen, obviously. So I would love to see Damian Lillard go to the Suns. I think that would be they need to play like the Warriors. Like the whole, Devin Booker, you go score. Okay, that's not going to work. Now we're going to dish out to Kevin Durant. Now you go score.
Yeah, but how would Damian Lillard fix that? The dude doesn't pass.
They would need to pass. Frank Vogel would have to have them pass the ball.
To me, that's this. I mean, it's not the same type of 3-point shooter, but him or Beal are interchangeable from that aspect to me.
Oh, no. Damian Lillard's a 10 times better 3-point shooter than Bradley Beal.
No, a much better 3-point shooter, but he still gets buckets. There's a reason he's getting paid $50 million, Derek. I think you're undervaluing how good Bradley Beal actually is.
I'm not saying he's not a good player. He's more of a scorer than an actual 3-point shooter. And I think with the Miami Heat, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because that's Jimmy Butler.
Right, but if you put Dame Lillard on the Suns, it's going to be the same thing. It's either him or Beal.
I don't think so. I think it's more of Kevin Durant playing with Steph Curry again.
But even that was a struggling time, though.
No, it wasn't. They passed the ball, and Kevin Durant hated it because he doesn't understand that helps you win.
Yeah, but also he was getting some backlash. I remember because he wasn't being too aggressive. He wasn't being as aggressive as he should be.
Yeah, but he won 2 championships.
But this is also not Steph we're talking about. Steph and Dame aren't the same player. So Steph's more of an all-around guard. Damian Lillard's he's a point guard, but I'd see the same personally. If he goes to the Suns, it'd be basically the same type of. I don't think they're changing their offense if Dame goes compared to Beal. I mean it from that I mean it from that aspect.
I would make a deal where you would trade Damian Lillard to the Suns, and you would have to move DeAndre Ayton probably. And there's this whole thing with Chris Paul now, if they're going to trade him or release him or bring him back on a cheaper deal. I can't see Chris Paul coming back on a cheaper deal. Maybe he will because he loves being a part of the Suns, but you have to take him like off the bench right now. So, Steven, if you had to pick a place for Damian Lillard, where would you go?
You know, I thought the Bucks were going to be a place that he was going to go originally. I remember that when the Bucks lost in that series with the Suns, I think Dame Lillard was in talks with that. I still think that'd be great, but I just looked it up. It doesn't seem like there's much interest from the Blazers as far as acquiring a haul for him.
At all?
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be.
At least that's like they still want him on the team.
That's the latest. Yes, I mean there's people that are going to pursue. There's definitely teams that are going to pursue him. But I don't know. And also, are there any of these up and coming teams here that maybe we're not even thinking about? Like, what about Dame? You know, it'd be great. Dame on the Sixers. Like, if Harden and the Sixers doesn't work out, Dame and Joel Embiid.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a fantastic fit for him. So I'd maybe go Sixers there. Boy, Dame on the Kings would be pretty fun, except they're not gonna do that, but that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
I'm just looking down at the standings right now, but yeah. I think if I had to choose one, might be the Sixers.
Well, Nick Nurse has got to make a decision there with Daryl Morey. By the way, did you see that press conference where
no
Nick Nurse was introduced, and of course, who's my guy with the Eagles in Philadelphia? Howard Eskin.
Howard Eskin. Yeah,
Howard Eskin. Howard was
he's a fraud. He's a stiff. He's a phony.
Howard Eskin was asking Nick Nurse about something, and Nick Nurse was going on and on and on, and he goes, "Do you want James Harden back? James Harden's a great player. You didn't answer my question." Well, James Harden's got to make a big decision, and that was like Nick Nurse's taste of this is going to be the Philadelphia media.
It's just Eskin, really.
I know.
It's funny. We always say like, oh, the New York media is hard on him. The Philadelphia media is hard on him. Yeah, because they got a bunch of media personalities who think they're bigger than the team. That's
true.
Why. That's why they're hard out there, because they've been there for years and years and years.
I'm still waiting for somebody. I'm not saying that Mad Dog Russo goes to these press conferences, but like a Mad Dog Russo type to be like, Aaron Rodgers. So, come on. I mean, you gonna get the shot or what? What are we doing
here? Yeah, Chris Russo being at those press conferences. Look, I don't think you're gonna compare to Havlicek. I always think about him saying Havlicek for some reason. There's a rant that he went on about load management, and it's what he went on about Kawhi Leonard and load management. He's like, you think John Havlicek would do this? No. What about Havlicek? It's so funny.
That's just ESPN now, just screaming voices. Which apparently,
it's old media over there who just do not have any filter when it comes to their questions, because they know nothing's going to happen to them. There's not going to be any backlash. Whenever there's a media market that's soft, no, they're not soft. They're just guys that are relatively new here and want to keep their jobs. Those guys have security. Or they're just smarter.
Or they're just smarter with their questions and not trying to get a rise out of someone for clicks.
Maybe
I'm right. Chris Paul. Do you see him staying with the Suns, or do you think he goes to a different team?
I think he goes to a different team, but I don't even know where. I don't know anything with Chris Paul. I'm very confused with him in general. He's not the same player that he was. Like even a couple of years ago, he was when he was, battling Steph and everything. in the Western Conference. Like, this dude was one of the best defensive point guards in the league, and he's no longer that. He's certainly a guy that can create. He can certainly still do that. He's got that skill. That's just that natural talent. Chris Paul's still there's a reason why he's an all-star. He just hasn't won a championship, but he's not the same player. So I don't really know where he's going to go. I don't know where he's going to fit. It seems like he's heading in the direction of, I mean, I can't think of anyone from active, at least that's in the same boat that he is. Is there anyone from maybe back in the day where they were a guard for a long time and eventually they became the backup? I don't know, like Mark Jackson or I don't know, Jalen Rose or something. I don't know.
He's definitely getting into that territory. Like he's getting into the Derrick Rose.
Yes,
time
that's perfect. That's a perfect comp right there. Yes,
yeah. I think that I could see him coming off the bench for surprise the Lakers because LeBron and him and the banana boat and their friends. But honestly, like if you really want like a 37-year-old point guard on your team, like I don't think the Lakers need that at that point. Like if they miss out on Kyrie Irving, maybe that's what they do there with Chris Paul. But yeah, I saw people saying like, well, the Warriors should look into that. No, it makes no sense at this point. Like I'd rather have Jordan Poole than Chris Paul. And I know that they may be crazy to some people, but I'd rather have the youth and Jordan Poole than the aging Chris Paul. So yeah. That's all who I got for NBA players, Steven. Now, I know you hate this.
No, let's go. Come on.
Well, like I said the last podcast, it's rare to have two big names like this be on the market this time of the year. Because we really don't see stuff like this, where two all pros at their position for a long time, DeAndre Hopkins and Dalvin Cook, were cut in June. Usually when this stuff happens, it's March and guys sign big contracts where teams have big salary caps. But now that as time has gone on, the teams that were linked to DeAndre Hopkins initially, like the Chiefs and Bills, don't have the money to do that, and they don't really want to spend the money right now. So lately, he visited the Titans, which I'm not buying for a second. There's the whole thing of him going to the CMAs and being wined and dined in Tennessee, and the Titans are going to rebuild this year. I think there's a very good chance that they trade Derrick Henry at the trade deadline, and Mike Vrabel could get fired because it's a new, regime. Ran Carthon is there now. He may want to hire his own head coach after this season. They drafted Will Levis. It makes no sense for DeAndre Hopkins to go there. As far as the Patriots, yeah, I guess like he would be the number one guy, and he knows Bill Belichick. I thought he hated Bill O'Brien, but I guess bygones are bygones now, or whatever that phrase would be there. I don't know. I don't. This goes back to him complaining in that I am athlete thing, saying like, I've been in bad organizations before. I'm not saying that the Patriots are a bad organization by any means, but from the quarterbacks he wanted to play with, and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and now he wants to go play with Mac Jones. Like to me, if I were DeAndre Hopkins, I would say to Buffalo, is there anything you could do with trying to move some salaries around and I could sign for maybe $6 million or $8 million? If they're like, no, then maybe you got to look elsewhere. But to make a big stink as he's done, and then to be like, well, I just want to go to the place that's going to be the most money, I think is ridiculous. Like, if you really want to go win, Buffalo's the place to go. Now, I don't know what's going on with Stephon Diggs, if he's all pissed off with whatever happened last playoff game. He was getting enough targets. He leaves one day for minicamp, then he shows up the next day. I don't think Stephon Diggs would freak out if DeAndre Hopkins showed up to help him out, but I do think that would be the best place for him.
So how much is Stephon Diggs' contract? He's 4 years, $96 million.
Yeah, there's no way that he's leaving. Like, there's rumors that he wants to go to the Cowboys to play with his brother, Trayvon Diggs. No. Like, at this point, it is what it is. Stephon Diggs needs to get over whatever thing is happening right now and play for the Buffalo Bills because his contract is untradeable.
Yeah. And maybe it's something with him and Josh Allen seems like such an affable dude. I don't think it's like anything between him. Maybe it's just, a problem with him and the team. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen this year.
Josh Allen did say like it was something off the field, which I don't want to like go whole Mariah Mills here, but there was that report that Stephon Diggs found out that Josh Allen was cheating on his girlfriend. I don't know why he would care to the point where he doesn't want to play with him anymore, but I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Drama.
It seems like stupid drama.
The Hopkins thing, I don't know. I don't know the Hopkins thing. The Patriots didn't make sense to me because of the Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Like you're really just gonna DeAndre, you're looking for, like, outside of Deshaun Watson, one good quarterback.
Yeah.
For one good quarterback that you want to play with in your career, and you're gonna choose Mac Jones.
Here's my thing with that. I think
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think that he went to those two teams to see what was the trade or the value for him, the market value for him right now, what they're going to offer him. He wants Odell Beckham money. I don't think that's going to happen either. I think he's going to wait till July to see if one of those teams that he really wants to go to, either the Chiefs or Bills, come calling and be like, okay, now we got the money for you. I think that if right now, if you ask him tomorrow what team he's going to sign with, he probably said Patriots. But if he's going to wait till July in training camp, there could be more teams that come into the mix. So I would say it's looking like the Patriots, but I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if a team that he really wants to go to comes in the last second and wows him.
Yeah. Well, they'll need to. I think some teams should take a look and think, Mac Jones, really? And you convince him, hey, come play with my quarterback. I don't know which team it's going to be, but yeah.
I mean, I think you look at the Bills, and Brandon Beane always wants to go after bigger names. Like, he's not going to fuck up the team's future and everything, but he went to go get Von Miller. They just signed Leonard Floyd. If they can move some salary around, which he's not one to do, but if they do, I could see him being like, all right, let's go win a Super Bowl this year. Let's go get DeAndre. And I think it makes sense. You put Diggs in as a slot guy. You have Gabriel Davis on the outside. They just drafted that tight end, plus Dawson Knox. I think they would be better than they were before last year if they added DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, but you put Diggs in as you said Diggs as the slot?
Yes.
God, you make him a slot guy though. I don't know how willing he'd be to do that.
Well, but if you put him at the slot guy, he's going to eat and get more yards, get more catches, and that may be the opportunity he wants to get more targets. I think if you have DeAndre Hopkins on the outside and you put Diggs in the middle there, he's going to be up against linebackers and safeties and nickel cornerbacks. I think that's going to benefit him greatly if he's the slot guy in that offense.
Yeah. Well, I think what's more likely, or not more likely, but I think would be a better decision for the Bills is if the other guy that we're going to talk about goes to that team.
Well, do you think, let's say, so Steven, you have a brother.
Yes.
What's your brother's name again? Sorry.
Tom.
That's not your brother's name.
His name's Ian.
Yeah. You can't fool me that bad. Let's say Ian came into KCBS and was like, I'm going to start working here. How would you feel?
I'd be fine with it.
Really? You wouldn't want him stealing your shine?
My shine?
Yeah, you're the young upcoming voice of KCBS.
No, I would not be worried about the stealing my shine. I'm worried about my own shine right now. Thank you very much.
Okay, bad example. Regardless, I don't think that Dalvin Cook wants to come in and take that job away from his brother.
Should.
He probably should. I mean, like, they did sign Damian Harris, but also, like, Damian Harris is not the best of running backs. The one that makes the most sense is Derrick Henry, but it sounds like the Titans are not ready yet to do that.
Have you ever seen his injury history, Dalvin Cook's?
Yes, he has a shoulder problem for quite some time. But have you seen
the locations though? Because I got an idea. Because I think Dalvin Cook's a damn good back, and I'm gonna still have the opinion here that whichever team's getting him is gonna get a guy who's Pro Bowl caliber when he's healthy. Right. But if you look at his injuries, I have an idea. Just run him down the right side of the field where the right side of his body is on the sideline, because the right side of that body, good God, man, everything's on the right.
Where are you getting this?
It's an injury thing called Draft Sharks. Yeah, they use the injury history, then they take all the injury guides, and yeah, they have these percentages and all this sort of stuff.
Oh, so this is why he got cut, because this is this nerd shit of all the analytics of why he got hurt and everything.
There's no analytics, Derek. These are just graphs. What are you talking about? Analytics? Jesus. You're like all these people who are just such jocks that they look at numbers that think automatically analytics coming into the game. No, these are just facts. He gets hurt on the right side of his body. So just run him down the outside zone, right sideline, every single play that you have him in, and you decrease the risk of him getting hurt again.
Well, I'm pretty sure the right side is where he had all his big plays last year, like the one against the Dolphins where he ran for like 56 yards.
Yeah.
That screen pass against the Colts. So, yeah, you may be onto something, Steven.
I think I am onto something. I think I am.
But Ernie's right here. He has had 6 shoulder surgeries, or shoulder injuries, I should say.
Oof.
So
no, not 6. He hasn't had 6. That's just the 6th injury. He's had a few of them. God damn, look at that. Wow.
That's
Jesus.
the thing. That's the thing. That's a big reason why he got cut. And I listened to an interview he did with Tom Pelissero the other day where he says he's good to go, but of course that's what any athlete's going to say. I still think the Dolphins are a good spot for him. It would be a crowded backfield, but Mike McDaniel comes from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree of having a bunch of running backs. The Niners do have Christian McCaffrey, but they also have, Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason and other good running backs, Ty Davis Price. So it doesn't hurt to have Dalvin Cook plus Jeff Wilson plus Raheem Mostert. They also drafted a guy. They got to be able to be versatile on that Miami Dolphins offense. So I still think the Dolphins are probably the best team for him to go to. I can't really think of any place else that really makes a lot of sense, to be honest. Maybe Dallas, if they don't get. I think Dallas is probably going to trade for Derrick Henry at the trade deadline. It's a bigger issue, though, with running backs in football today because Dalvin Cook wants to make $10 million. Saquon Barkley wants to make $10 million. Josh Jacobs wants to make $10 million. And the NFL is coming back saying, you're not worth that anymore. We value you for getting yards and getting touchdowns. When it comes to getting paid, that is a position that is not as valuable as it once was, which to me, I understand when it comes to drafts, not drafting a running back very high, but we saw that this year with Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. But as far as paying these guys, like Josh Jacobs is one of the best running backs in football. Saquon Barkley makes the Giants that much better. Dalvin Cook is a versatile player, and these are guys that are in their 20s. Like Ezekiel Elliott, his body's kind of running down a little bit, but I still think Dalvin Cook and Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley and Tony Pollard are some of the best running backs in football. And it's kind of becoming a shitty deal where they're all not being valued for what they want.
Yeah, you could make the case that Zeke and Todd Gurley ruined it for those guys.
You very well could. Even though Christian McCaffrey got paid after that, I think you're right on, Steven, because those were the last premier guys to get big deals, and then their bodies broke down.
Yeah, I think Doug Martin's included in that too. Once Doug Martin got a huge deal, he sucked. But it is unfair. And I've always gone back and forth with the Josh Jacobs thing, but he's proven he could be a damn good running back in the NFL. I'm not going to be mad if they take a chance by giving him a contract extension, one that's worth maybe $10 million a year.
As they should. He's been the best running back for the Raiders since
Marcus Allen?
I don't know about that. Bo?
Woo! Yeah, maybe. Damn good. McFadden was good for a couple of years.
Yeah, I'll say McFadden or Napoleon Kaufman. Napoleon Kaufman was good.
I think we'll go with
okay,
McFadden.
What about Charlie Garner?
Better than Charlie Garner.
You think he's better than
I'd take McFadden over Charlie Garner.
What about Tyrone Wheatley?
He was more of a halfback, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was more of a. He did not break away speed or anything. He was more of a slugger, like a between the middles tough runner. Okay, what about Huggy Bear, Justin Fargas?
Good Lord, Justin Fargas.
Lamont Jordan.
I liked Lamont Jordan's name. It's a sick name, but yeah.
God, I had so much hopes for that 2005 team. Randy Moss and Lamont Jordan coming over. Derek Burgess. That team sucked.
It's the saddest thing ever. Kerry Collins was the quarterback, wasn't he?
Oh, God. He was so bad. Kerry Collins and Randy Moss. Good Lord. By the way, did you see that? Apparently the reports coming out of the Raiders from our buddy Vic Tafur, nobody wants to trade for Hunter Renfrow. Really?
Huh.
Apparently no teams have called to inquire about Hunter Renfrow. And so that, to me, that's the Raiders telling Vic Tafur, or whoever had the report, it may have been Deshaun Reed or Paul Gutierrez, it's the Raiders saying we want to trade Hunter Renfrow and we're not getting what we want. And I think that's eventually going to happen. Probably maybe by training camp or after training camp. Maybe it's like a, Labor Day thing. But yeah, I think when you start hearing reports like that, I think they're trying to move Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah. It's sad, isn't it?
It's sad. I mean, we've been talking about it. It's unnecessary rebuilds.
Yeah, it's like a reconstruction. I don't like what they're doing with him, but
it's a competitive retool.
Yeah, I'm not whatever. I don't have any hopes for the Raiders anyway this season. Do whatever they want.
Not even if they sign Marcus Peters, which sounds like it's going to happen pretty soon here.
No, I'm just watching this ring ceremony with the Chiefs, or at least seeing the highlights of it. I'm like, these guys are just going to dominate for the rest of time.
Well, not only them. I mean, I think the Chargers are going to be good this year. It's it's going to be rough.
Yeah, so I saw I don't know who he was. He's like a popular Raider podcaster, but he's going off about like all the hype that the Chargers are getting and how it happens every single year. It's because they actually have some upside as a team. That's why they're getting hype.
They also have a top 5 quarterback in the league.
That also helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, you know what? Real quick, you see the Derek Carr thing? I'm sure you did.
No.
Him basically saying he didn't give the Raiders his best.
He admitted that?
Yeah. Yeah. He
on his nephew's podcast?
I don't know if it was on the Neff's podcast, but
Harvest Sports.
Harvester Sports. He said straight up that he didn't play his best, and that's where he was most frustrated last season. He didn't give the best for his coaches, didn't give the best for his players. Basically he failed.
Good.
He admitted it.
Good. I'm glad he did that, because his brother would tell you otherwise.
Like, it's good. It's nice to have that self-reflection, but I think it's pretty funny. I think he realized that after saying something along the lines of, "Oh, you'll hear about what happened. Just wait." And then realizing, actually, I wasn't really good. I don't really have much ammo right now to back me up. So you know what? I'm just going to go out and apologize instead. Plus, he's got those Christian values and everything, and he's got the forgiveness and all that, and a lot of self-reflection. And no, Ernie, it was not from Ballsack Sports.
I was about to say.
It didn't get sacked. He said this from his very own mouth.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad that you got to be real. Like, yeah, he didn't play well last year. Now, should he have been treated the way he was? Or what? Yeah, probably not, but yeah. It's best for everybody to move on, but I don't know if it was an upgrade.
It's not an upgrade. We've talked about it, but it's time for him to move on too. It's the best thing for him. Like, go somewhere else, because whatever the Raiders got cooking right now, even with Devontae it's not going to work. So just go elsewhere. You got Chris Olave right now, up and coming wide receiver. You got good talent. I don't know if Kamara is going to play this year, but
he'll play. Else, he'll just be suspended.
Just go somewhere else, Derek. Just not you, but
no, I'm staying right here.
Yeah, I mean Carr, but just go somewhere else and try winning elsewhere. Like, it's not going to work with the silver and black.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to work out with the gold and black, though. I think by default, the Saints are probably that best team in that NFC South.
Until December. Just wait till December and January. Yeah. Whew, when those bright lights, there is going to be experience in those bright lights in January. I think they're going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to be in the playoffs.
But they'll slip towards December.
But I think Carr's going to, because I think Carr, what he made pretty clear is that, like, he could tell even during the season last year that he mentioned this. He said when he was trying to kind of put on a brave face, like, even his teammates could tell something was wrong. Something was off. It was not working.
Yeah.
So I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself. And I think in the playoffs, if he feels any of that pressure, I think it's going to get to him. It's not his fault, but it's like it's been a decade and he hasn't played in a playoff game. Those natural nerves are going to come around. Is he going to be like Matthew Stafford, where he's just it's just seamless? You know, you get into the playoffs and you're just a damn good quarterback, or is he going to kind of peter off like he normally does during the winter times in December and January?
So what you're saying is that Derek Carr is going to pull a Wyclef Jean, and he'll be good till December. He'll be good till December.
Yeah. It happens every year. Just look at the numbers.
It's a good song. I think it was I'll be gone till November actually. Yeah,
It is.
regardless.
It's fine.
It's more Counting Crows. It's been a long December.
We moving on?
Yeah, we'll move on. Real quick here. I was thinking about this the other day after Leonard Floyd signed with the Bills. Niners don't have a lot of depth at pass rush. They got Nick Bosa. They drafted Drake Jackson. They signed old Raider Cleveland Ferrell. But as far as a guy opposite Nick Bosa, they don't really have really a great player. Yet we don't know about Drake Jackson. Cleveland Ferrell could have a resurgence with the Niners, which would totally piss me off. But you see a lot of teams kind of just stockpiling pass rush. The Eagles do that every year. The Bills just did it with Leonard Floyd. If you had to pick one pass rusher that has been kind of rumored with a trade for the Niners to acquire, would you pick Danielle Hunter, Chase Young, or Montez Sweat? Now, just to be realistic here, the Niners do have draft picks for 2024. They have their first round pick, they have their second round pick, and I believe they have 3 third round picks. So, if you had to pick one, Steven, who would you pick?
Oh, well, I mean, if I had to pick one, do I have to take contracts out of it?
Well, no, like this is not guaranteed they get a contract. This is just them being on their final. All 3 players are on their final year as far as a contract. So you don't have to sign anybody to a long-term deal. Just what draft capital are you willing to move to go all in this year to have a guy opposite Nick Bosa?
Man, I mean, Chase Young would be that guy, wouldn't he?
Given the injuries, though?
Given the injuries would be tough, but you put Chase Young alongside Nick Bosa on that opposite edge, woo-wee.
Now, are you only saying that because they were Ohio State teammates?
Yes.
That would be interesting. And he probably would not go for that much given his past history with injuries. But then again, names alone sometimes guys expect bigger draft capital. Danielle Hunter's an interesting guy. I would actually think he's the best out of all the pass rushers, but then again, he wants a big contract, so maybe that would, prevent you from signing him to a long or making the trade. And if he wants a long-term deal, I think Montez Sweat's a really good player too. But yeah, Chase Young would be interesting. You probably could get by if you traded him for like maybe a third-round pick or maybe Montez Sweat for a third-round pick. Danielle Hunter may cost you more, but just given the injury history, you're probably better with Young or Sweat.
Yeah, probably. God, if Hunter were on that team, just as far as like looks, God,
gun show,
that'd be the most devastating looking edge rushers like ever. Danielle Hunter and Nick Bosa have those. They're like part of that next evolution of player where there's just like zero body fat on these edge rushers.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, what I would love to see at next training camp is if they acquire Danielle Hunter, it would be Danielle Hunter shirtless next to Javon Kinlaw shirtless, and you just in the middle, just being like, "What could have been?"
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, any one of those guys would be great, but it seems like they're pretty set on trying to build Drake Jackson into the starting edge rusher.
They very well could, but you can never have too much pass rush in this league. So I wonder if they would look to a veteran, maybe even guys that are free agents right now. I don't think Jadeveon Clowney fits with the Niners. Maybe I would have said Frank Clark, but he just signed with the Broncos last week. You got Yannick Ngakoue, who's available still. So there are options. There are options for the Niners. They don't necessarily have to go the big name trade route. They could get a veteran defensive end. But you could be right, Steven. They are more inclined to build up Drake Jackson and play with the veteran of Cleveland Ferrell's type.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tomorrow is Father's Day. So real quick before we get out of here, Steven, who is your favorite TV dad of all time?
Oh, good question. Favorite TV dad? Huh. I mean, I know he's called Uncle Phil, but he's a father. Uncle Phil's right up there, but I'd have to go with Red Foreman. Red Foreman from that 70s show. Yep. Red Foreman is so damn good. Just
what was his catchphrase? I'll kick your ass.
Yeah, I'll just shove my foot in your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's personally, he's my favorite TV dad of all time. Al Bundy's a great one. Shout out to Ernie there. What about you? Who's your top TV dad?
God, there's so. I mean, like, that's just there's nothing better than a funny, goofy, stupid dad in a sitcom.
Yeah, actually, it's Red Foreman, but now I just thought of one. Phil Dunphy from Modern Family.
Yeah.
Phil Dunphy, all-time TV dad.
I mean, there's so many good ones. Randy Marsh from South Park. He was just more of a caricature. Peter Griffin. Homer Simpson, a lot of people think he's just a moron, but he always wanted to be a good father and take care of his kids. I'm going to say one. I'm going to go the hipster route, Steven.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go with the dad from Dexter's Laboratory. Because that guy just made me laugh all the time.
The dad from Dexter's Laboratory? I don't even remember the dad from Dexter's Laboratory.
He had the glasses, and there's two particular episodes that is just comedy gold. The one where they drink all the coffee. I knew this, so full disclosure. In college, my buddy of mine wanted me to audition for a short film he was doing, and he said, "You need to come up with a monologue from something that's been written." And I was like, "All right, I'll try to think of something." And just as a joke, me and my buddy were watching, I think it was on Netflix, old episodes of Dexter's Laboratory, and there's this episode where the kids drink all the coffee in the house. This ring any bells?
No.
I memorized the whole monologue of when he finds the coffee. He's like, "You kids drank the coffee? Oh, where did I go wrong? I thought I raised you kids right. I thought I nurtured you kids to do the right thing. And now we have all this empty, a mere shell of its former self. I've seen some horrible things in my life, but this is just sick."
This is a very nuanced TV dad. I don't think anyone would have the dad from Dexter's Laboratory as their number one.
Well, it's
what?
They'd be idiots if they didn't choose him because he's hilarious. There's also the episode where he tries to eat the mom's muffins that she's cooking before dinner and it turns into a whole thing. Anyway, that's who I would choose.
Interesting. Yeah, Phil Dunphy would have to be mine. Phil Dunphy makes me laugh harder than any.
Good suggestion here on the old text line. Mike Seaver from Growing Pains.
Ooh, nice one.
Alan Thicke.
Mike Seaver was the kid, though.
Was it Mike or who was the dad?
I don't remember the dad from Growing Pains.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Michael, what are you doing?
Oh, it was, but no, it was,
Alan
was Alan Thicke. Yeah. Hey, Michael, if you had Optima tax relief, would you?
If the IRS is calling you, it's not to wish you happy birthday. Uh-oh, look out.
The IRS called me when I was sitting out by the pool having a nice Malibu and Coca-Cola. But they called. I don't know. All right. Rest in peace, Alan Thicke. No, he every time I think of him, I don't know, he just has such a, even though he's Canadian, had a very tropical vibe to him, you know?
Oh, yeah. And apparently he sang the theme song to Growing Pains.
He did. Yeah, he created
me
it.
That smile again.
Yeah.
Best movie dad.
Movie dad. Oh boy.
This one's not even close for me.
Oh God. I don't even know about movie dads. I don't know what's your number one? Who's the movie dad for you?
Hands down, it's Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire.
That
guy loved his kids to an extreme amount when he would go and do anything for them.
Yeah, that's a good one. Man, I don't know. God, movie dads. That's a TV dads are always what we talk about. I never really thought about movie dads before. A movie dad.
Huh. There's not many, actually.
There's not a lot that I could think of. I forgot about,
TV. Ray Liotta in Goodfellas. He was a good dad in that.
Was he? He was not a good dad.
Terrible.
He was a terrible dad.
Yeah, he comes home from prison. The kids are like, "Dad, you want to look at this drawing I made? He wants to go to Paulie's."
Actually, you know what? Movie dad. I got one. Clark
Griswold.
Goddamn Griswold.
Yeah,
that's the number one movie dad right there.
He just wanted to have a good Christmas.
He just wanted to have a good old-fashioned family Christmas.
It may have been selfish, but he wanted to have a good Christmas.
Yes, and in Vegas Vacation, he literally spends all their money on gambling, and the family is left with nothing.
I still need to watch that terrible movie. It's been a while.
He lost like 120 grand.
Ooh, Ernie's right. Ernie's right here. Liam Neeson
Ooh.
from Taken.
It's a good one. And also the dad from American Pie. Eugene Levy.
Not judgmental. Not judgmental.
Eugene
comes
Levy's
home.
A good
well,
one.
we'll tell your mom we ate the pie.
Well, it's okay. Yeah. Tough.
You trying to do a Eugene Levy accent there?
Yeah, it didn't work. I don't know. I'm delusional now. It's been an hour and a half.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good ending point. All right, everybody. Steven, you have yourself a good time tomorrow with your family.
Yeah, we'll do. I think we might be going to a San Jose Giants game tomorrow, or maybe watching Giants Dodgers. I don't know. We got a couple of things going on.
Well, whatever it is, have yourself a lovely time. And to everybody listening or watching, all the same to you. Have a great Father's Day tomorrow. We will figure out what we're doing next week. If breaking news happens, we'll jump on here and do something, but we may see you next weekend if nothing really stands out. So until that time, Steven, say what you always say.
It's just our opinion, man. I don't know where that came from.